Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Stephanie, and this is
Simo.
and this is series 2, episode 3
Yeah,
of
the
Thriving as
season two.
a Human. Season 2, yes. Um, this is season whatever, season 2, episode 3 of Thriving as a Human in an AI World. And yeah, and we're here to have our little chat. So feel free, as always, to ask us questions or make comments about the things we're talking about. Um, yeah, and we'll see how we do. Sometimes
Mm.
we get more conversations than others. Um, and yeah, we were just talking before we went live about what we were going to talk about today. And yeah, didn't come up with a real theme except, to talk about some of the things that we've been hearing and from talking to people in real life or things that we've read in the newspapers and things. Um, and for me, that was this last week, um, hearing about people that live near data centers in the US. There's been more than 4,000 data centers built in the US to support AI, and people living near these data centers, the noise that it's creating 24/7, because of course they run 24/7. So this background noise, and the impact that it's having on water and electricity, and so areas are banning them or trying to regulate them. I know in Canada there's been some people banning them, some municipalities banning them, and trying to prevent them from being built because of the environmental impact. They seem to get priority over homeowners. Some of the stuff I was seeing coming out of the U.S. was homeowners not able to flush the toilet because there's no water. So, yeah,
because because the data centers are using it for cooling the computers.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in Finland there's a discussion of that too, and it's mainly focused on the price of electricity. It
Oh,
tends to go up because the market when data centers are built, because they are consuming so much energy,
yeah,
and the more data centers, the more we have to actually, as a small country, to buy electricity from abroad.
uh,
So it's kind of course, building those centers brings money to the town or city or country they are built in,
sure.
but it's only temporary. And
Hmm.
then it's like, the effects of, the electricity bills are going, up for everyone.
Yeah, yeah,
That's much fun. And like, how to thrive as a human if you can't afford pay for your electricity anymore, or if you don't have any, you know clean water anymore, or you're just having the humming noise of computers in your ears ringing like 24/7.
yeah,
How to thrive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pack up and move.
Yeah.
But that's not a possibility for people because they can't sell their houses. Who wants to buy a house next to a data center? Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, how do you thrive?
Yeah.
So you do.
And why it's now that we have been living with AI for a couple of years.
Yeah, 3 years, 4 years. Yeah,
It's kind of like, of course, the AI is kind of like growing, and it's more able, more capable, and also we know more of how do we feel about using it and having a relation with it. And I'm kind of beginning to be worried about outsourcing our thinking,
oh,
but
absolutely.
to a machine that doesn't actually kind of, think. Of course, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's functioning the same, partially, in the same way that our minds, it's drawing material from memory and then building connections, and it's like, of course there's similarities, but still it's like I'm being pessimistic about, are we going to, as humans, are we going to have more time for creativity, more time for restoring our strengths by meditating or whatever? Are we really having more time because of AI, or is it just that we are required to work faster to be more productive because AI makes it so much easier?
Yeah. It does. It's gone out of my head. The idea that technology is going to give us more time. That's what everyone wants us to believe. Oh, we'll have more times for the human things. But will we? I'd read articles about that from proponents of AI and things, and I'm not convinced. I mean, if AI's you out of a job, if the technology does you out of your job, sure, you have lots of time, but how are you going to pay your bills? So it's hard to thrive in that situation. So I know this is, unless governments start putting in things like universal basic incomes, and start taxing these things. Somehow we've turned this into a political discussion. But there's a lot of politics in this. There's a lot of money in this, and
Yeah.
and we were.
It seems like we were mentioning, almost in the same sentence, money and politics.
Yeah.
We would be naive to not see the connection.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, the governments are not going to regulate this.
Probably. I don't know that they can do it fast enough. I think some governments are trying. I look at Europe, and some of the stuff that's happening there. I think there's more of an attempt there, but we were also talking about standing up for yourself, and for ourselves, and demonstrations and things, and talking about the women's strike that happened in Iceland in the 70s and how that had an impact on things locally, certainly, but also globally. So I think a lot of times we feel as individuals that we are just one person. We can't make a difference, but I don't think that that's true, especially if we can start to band together and have our voices heard. I know easier said than done sometimes, when your livelihood depends on it, but something to consider, certainly. So, but yeah, back to thriving.
Yeah, I was just asking. Actually, I was asking Claude, what kind of strike would you recommend to stop the unhinged AI hysteria?
What did Claude say?
Well, first, good provocation. Well, he recommended a presence strike.
Oh.
That having a deliberate withdrawal from mediated interaction for a defined period. Well, I think I've been hearing about university students that actually are refusing to use mobile devices or electronic devices while they are learning. Yeah. That they are deliberate in their choice of using, pen and paper.
Yeah.
And what about, maybe new values or value-based groups of people are emerging. Maybe like, this is pure human production, or this keynote is not done with AI, it's pure human speech, or
Right.
kind of like a certificate that this is human product,
Yeah.
humanity, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I pop in and out of YouTube, and the pushback against the YouTube videos that are made by AI, and people in the comments about AI slop. We've been reading about AI slop for a while now. So yeah, there's some pushback for what it's worth. So, but to come back to our theme a little bit more, thriving as a human, I want to bring up that I was on a art retreat last week and didn't unplug totally. I kept an eye on email and things, such as the nature of being self-employed or being in between jobs, um, and but I did some art. I checked out some galleries in the area where I'm living, and it was really good to step back and not feel like I needed to respond to messages the instant they came in, um, and and I feel so much better for having taken the 7 days, and it was a full week, and create some art, and step back from sort of the always on connectivity that technology and AI seems to demand, society seems to demand of us. So, and thinking that that's something that I need to do more often. Because this I have a global network, which is great. I love my global network, but there's always somebody. It's always work time for somebody. So that means I'm always having messages and things come in, and so stepping back from that and taking care of myself, um, I know is important. And I hadn't done that in a long time. I haven't had a vacation since 2018, something I am not proud of. Um, I know. So this was I didn't go anywhere. I had a staycation, um, and just was here, but I got to sleep in my own bed and but do stuff around here. You know, go you check out some of the hiking trails, do some sketching, do some
Was
painting.
it kind of your solo retreat?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I put it together myself and did it myself, and
Oh.
yeah, yeah,
I'm amazed and proud of you. Like, it's like that's amazing self-leadership that you are practicing there.
yeah. Well, nobody else is going to do it for me.
Well, I was last week, like, having a improv intensive retreat that I was teaching in with a colleague. So
Yeah,
we were arranging it for other people, but yeah, I'm really impressed that you can be so consistent and kind of decisive with that. This is my week. This is my retreat.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I was going to. There were a few things that went into sort of that happening. The creation of the retreat and me doing it was, I realized I was the only one stopping me from taking some time off.
Hmm.
I'm back out on my own, at least temporarily, and I don't have a boss other than me. And I was tired from everything that's happened in the last few years, from going from Berlin to Canada to, moving it back into my own apartment and hanging paintings and unpacking 100 and some odd boxes, almost 200 boxes I had. There's still one or two behind me that haven't been unpacked, but they'll get there, so there's been a lot of change, and I really just needed a break. And like I say, I realized I was the only one stopping me from having a break, so I decided I was taking the break. And I looked at, my first inclination was to find a retreat somewhere else that somebody else was doing, so that I didn't have the mental load of figuring out what I wanted to do, or every day, the activities and all of that. But I didn't really find anything, at least not that was happening when I wanted to do it, which was the first week of June. I had decided that the first week of June was good. It was the week after my birthday, so it felt like a good time, good way to kick off the new year, my new year, my personal new year. And so I'm like, I can do this. I mean, I've done workshops and stuff for other people, for organizations and things. I can do this for myself. So I will admit I used AI to help me figure out, just kind of I would say it was a generic, it wasn't particularly themed retreat. It was kind of a generic reconnect with creativity and get to know some of the art stuff that's happening in the area where I'm living now. And so, the first time it came back, the first outline it gave me, it actually gave me galleries that don't exist anymore. So I had to fix that. But yeah, it ended up being really nice, really. And I just made that decision for myself that I'm going to do that. It's I need it. That's whenever anybody would ask me what I was going to do now, I was like, I don't know, but I'm really tired. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, wait, I should do something about the tired. And so that's what last week was about. And I feel so much better for having done it. I created some art. I saw some art. I had a couple of nice conversations with people. So it was a nice week. I sat down. I was so much more energized yesterday when I sat down at my desk to do work. I created a list of to-do items that's probably going to take me about 3 weeks to to get them all done, but help me organize, and I don't have to keep it in my head. So yeah, it was time well spent, for sure. It didn't cost me anything because I did it here. Well, it cost me. I think I ate lunch out one day because I was in Peterborough looking at art, but basically, it was a staycation, so it was low cost, and yeah, it was a good way to get to know the community a bit better, the area a bit better, and get reconnected to myself. So yes, if you want to call that self-leadership or self-care, sure, absolutely. And I think,
I think it is all that.
yeah, and I think those are the things that we need to do for ourselves if we want to thrive
in an AI world.
Yeah.
And actually, like having a conscious relationship with AI, as you did, you use it to assist you to, have a bit more ideas of what the week could look like. And yeah, it's funny because it's like when my last week was the improv retreat,
right?
the improv intensive, and I tried to actually use AI because our theme was like how to kind of like to connect with our subconscious, connect with our intuition, and our, kind of like getting out of the frontal lobe and digging deeper on what's there. And actually I asked AI to, throw in some exercises that it might thought that would work. And I tried one or two, and they like just for fun.
Yeah.
We had 5 days, so I had time to make experiments.
Yeah.
But I would say that AI is not an expert on how to connect with your subconscious.
Yeah.
It didn't help much.
Oh. Yeah.
And of course it needs expertise and critical thinking to actually to detect that hey, don't do those exercises if you really want to reach your goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know, it was a fun week, and it was transformative for many many participants, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, mine was certainly transformative for me. There were things when I got going through it last week that I'm like, yeah, if I had to do this again, I would do this differently. And things that, because I had an art practice already, it just was kind of laying dormant for the most part. There was stuff that it's like asking me to, or suggesting that I do, like, yeah, I've done that before. Like, I want to do something different. So then I would go, online or go to one of my books and see what I could find that was a bit different. So, and like I'm not a sketch. I'm really not, I don't like sketching. It's never been something that I really took to, even when I had taken a class, but, there was some sketching. Certainly you go out, that's typically, what happens. You go out with a sketch pad, or go out maybe with some watercolors or something in paint, or sketch outside. And I didn't really, I did it, but I wasn't comfortable with my sketching abilities. So I find a YouTube video and watch the YouTube video, which I did actually find helpful. And kind of, and I won't say that I copied her mode of sketching, or method of sketching, but it helped me find my own way of sketching. Kind of, I had created, I'm sure other people do this too, but my sketches are little dots, pointillism sketching instead of with letter lines, because I found that when I did it just with little dots with my pencil, it actually took shape, and then it was easier to connect it with lines afterwards. And the little dots, if things got out of perspective, then it was easier to erase and start over, or adjust, part of the outline, when it was just little dots rather than even just light lines. So, yeah, so that was an interesting, unexpected happening. And hey, Kevin, thanks. glad you're enjoying our little.
I was just actually I'm fascinated about your pointillism sketching technique, because it's like, if people are doing like sketching stuff or drawing stuff or painting stuff together, it's like in interaction there are more than one people doing a joint artwork. Like we do in improvisation. That's like what that's improv can be applied to.
Can you see that?
Also drawing and painting, I see like no, now I can see that. Oh, a drink,
a glass with a lemon in it. So, and yeah, it's all little dots. But when I tried to draw it with even short lines, or lines, it just it looked terrible. You would never have recognized that it was a drinking glass. You might have recognized the lime a little bit.
Dots are like pixels. They are building blocks.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of, that's I think that's what group creativity should be like connect, putting dots
Yeah.
or building blocks
Yeah.
to and building something together,
Yeah.
not like draw lines or, I'm drawing this house, this is my idea, but what about just adding a dot?
Yeah. 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 Adding a block, adding a
Oh, Kari is hi, Kari. Oh, and what we are showing that would AI as an accessible intuition, wireless Bullion vision of the world, help your hallucinations? Well, I've said earlier in this series, in this season one of the episodes, that I have used AI as my body double. Being a neuro atypical person with ADHD, it really works as a body double. It helps me hallucinating more, or it helps me to reach whatever goal I have cognitively or create in a creative sense. Usually, I think AI's intuition is not so kind of, it doesn't impress me, but it's a starting point. It's a good starting point. Then you can add your own creativity and intuition to that, and then be in interaction with AI and craft it together, whatever you are creating, of course. But AI is not kind of the source of kind of like practical and applicable ideas. I would say it's not the safe source, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea. It's not a safe source because it needs
Sometimes it has. I mean, sometimes I just, ask it that what would be a nice exercise to, illustrate this theme. And, in this client's reality, I work with organizations, mostly with applied improvisation. So I might ask that this is the context, this is the theme, this is what they want to achieve, and what kind of exercise would you recommend? 90% are of the recommendations of exercises are not working,
yeah.
but 10% might be there might be gems.
Yeah.
But it needs me to actually to make that value judgment, like,
Yeah.
is this relevant or not?
Yeah. Yeah. You need the experience, someone with
Yeah.
the experience and the knowledge. And this is what some of the students are pushing back against. There's been a couple of things in the news lately in the last few weeks about students booing commencement speeches given by AI tech people, and that have come to deliver a commencement speech that is going on about the benefits of AI and things, and students have booed because they see it as taking away those entry-level jobs. And they're right, it is. And there are organizations that are purposefully still hiring in those entry-level jobs. They're not giving them to AI to do because they recognize that if you take the first rung of the ladder away, then you very soon have an empty ladder that you don't have a workforce. You don't have people that can do this stuff. So there are organizations that are doing, making sure that first rung on the ladder stays there. So that's important. Kari said, just because LLM can easily bring content back to the neurotypical form, maybe today is Tuesday.
LLM? What's
large
that?
language model?
Yeah. Bring content back to the neurotypical form. Well, not only that, I would say, Kari, not only that. That's, of course, AI is very good with, designing language that suits the recipient design, I would say.
Yeah.
It's good with that.
It's an algorithm. So
Yeah.
if it's seen it before, it'll do it.
But I would say, like in my case, it's just nice to have somebody to have a dialogue with. Even if I don't have a real human being, AI can be that kind of body double too. Sometimes, if you think of human beings who are actually body doubling atypical people, they are not actually solving problems for them, but they are just being there. Their presence is helping, kind of having a mirror, having a wall to bounce ball with. It bounces back, so it's kind of like it helps you to think, even though the AI would kind of contribute anything like genius or even usable, but it's still, it's still with you.
Yeah.
And that that brings us back to the thing that why so many people find that AI is a good companion and more available than other human beings.
Yeah. When you were saying about that, I think I would rather have somebody that I could talk to,
Mm-hmm.
a real human that I could have exchanges with, and that we could mull over, and toss ideas back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
And share experiences rather than using AI. I have used AI that way too. I don't like it, because because it's just parroting stuff. And it's not a real entity. It's not, it can't say, well, I did this workshop last week where, we did this exercise and this was the outcome. Or it can't say, well, I did an art retreat last week and this was what I did, and what was your experience? It's, but we have become so busy doing whatever we're doing, and this was part of why I took the week off to do the art retreat. Was I realized I just have been doing, like, being self-employed for 22 years. There was always something to do. And I routinely didn't take a vacation. About every 3 years I managed to take a vacation. So it's the stopping the doing, and making time for those relationship things, the relationship buildings, making the space for ourselves and for people. One of the people I got talking to at one of the art galleries last week messaged me yesterday. She lives here in the little village I live in, and messaged me yesterday and said, did I want to meet for coffee? Yeah, let's go meet for coffee. So we met for coffee, and I came back and worked, and I worked up until I went across the street and we had the coffee. But it's making time for those exchanges. AI is not going to come to our funeral and mourn our loss. Somebody eventually will shut down our account. And
I just had a terrible vision, like a lonely person dies and then there's no funeral guests, but except like two robots that come to, oh my god, like a dystopian funeral nightmare.
Yeah.
Kind of the epicenter of loneliness.
Yeah. I get very concerned, that we've lost the ability to have a discussion with people and learn something and disagree, find a way to disagree, but not, go off into our echo chambers, and hold the space where we can disagree with someone and we can still have them as our friends or family. This.
Well, that's a skill we would need to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication.
I was just thinking about ideation, like with how is it different with AI, and how is it different with a group of people? I'm sad to say, but many human groups they are just competing with and blocking each other's ideas,
Yeah.
and they are not actually. It's not even like how to disagree constructively, but it's just that even if you hear somebody present an idea, you would say that well, I'm not excited about that, and which is kind of like it's killing all energy
Yeah.
from that I wouldn't, I would rather talk to AI than a person like that.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, but not interested.
Yeah. Yeah. The ability to have difficult conversations and to disagree and be okay with the disagreement, not having to convince the other person that you're right and they're wrong, or they're right and you're wrong, or whatever this
Even
is.
though, yeah, disagreement is kind of a special form of interaction, and I do agree with you, Stephanie, like completely with that. But I would say that even though we would have a peaceful situation where we are not disagreeing, but we are just ideating, like, well, what shall we do? Like, well, how would this new product look like? Or what about marketing plans, or whatever, like
Oh, yeah.
in work life. It's not like it's genuinely about disagreement, but we are not just being supportive so many times in teams. It's like everybody is kind of like trying to compete with other people, like outwitting them, or trying to be more clever than other people, or
Yeah.
just questioning other people's, like, not trusting other people's intuition, or
Yeah.
and I'm you showed the LinkedIn user, like this one.
Right.
Like, it is, I think we have come around to that point, like every time we are discussing that it is about what kind of relations we are having with each others as humans, and what kind of relations are we having with AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
Human relations.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a thing that comes up in the KM community a lot, and other communities too, I'm sure, that technology is also ultimately about the humans, and those are, I'm doing a couple presentations later this year, webinars and things later this year, and it's about the humans. It's we rush to the technology, and the technologies are great, and helpful in certain circumstances, at least. But but what about the humans? Why do we discount ourselves? Why do we, why are we first to throw ourselves overboard in favor of some technology? Because we're afraid to talk to each other, and because there's a lot of work, right? Doing technology right is doing the people right, and people are hard because they have.
Well, I see a possibility here, in an idealistic sense.
Yeah.
But I'm there's a pessimist inside me too. And I'm this could be our opportunity to look at the mirror and learn from what we see.
Yep. Yep.
If I'm looking back to history, that like how vacuum cleaners changed our lives, did our lives become better, how television, internet, how whatever technical innovation we have had, it didn't give us like more free time. It didn't give us more time to connect with each others. It didn't do that. It just made us work harder and faster.
Yeah. And it just made us more competitive.
Yeah.
Right. Because we saw then what other people were doing and having and go, oh, I should do that too. Or I want to beat that person, have more, have a fancier car, have a fancier house, have fancier clothes.
I'm really interested in kind of imagining that what would AI, kind of our relationship with AI and with other humans look like without competition? If there was, if competition was, out, what would we do? What would it look like?
Yeah.
That would be my, my dream world, my utopia, to remove competition from the world.
You should read the book, what is it called? Nurturing Our Humanity. And it's about, well, it's in part about how previous civilizations, there we go. Previous civilizations, like going back 8,000-10,000 years, were organized partnership, rather than hierarchical, and what that changed, what that looked like then, sort of the equality, the lack of, I'm going to say, competition, the much more of the sense of we're in this together, and doing things for the whole rather than the individual, and it talks about how that's evolved over the last 10,000 years. It's an interesting book. So
because at least in Finland, in Finnish context, and I think it's not only Finland, but it seems like egocentrism and competition are rising trends. They have been rising trends for the last 3 decades.
Yeah.
And that's sad, and that's dangerous.
Yeah.
For our thriving.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I liked about living in Berlin and in Germany, was there was much more of a sense of we're in this together.
Yeah.
And coming back to, there's individualism there too, certainly, and growing because of the influence of technology, and social media. But coming back to North America and Canada is so much more individualistic and so much every person for themselves, and screw the greater good, screw everybody else. I just want my piece of the pie, and I want my piece of the pie to be as big as possible. So the book talks about the Nordic countries are sort of the closest example, and they're not perfect, but from the existing societies that exist, now in 2025 or 2023 or 2021, whenever the book was written. Anyway, this current time, the Nordic countries are sort of the closest to that partnership economy, but not the way it existed 10,000 years ago. So yeah, interesting book, Nurturing Our Humanity. I can't remember the author, but Rayanne Eisler. Actually, I say that and then it pops into my head. Rayanne Eisler. There's a second author too, but I don't remember.
I will look.
Yeah, and she's written a number of books that are interesting too, along the same lines. So, but I'm just noticing we're kind of coming up to the 45-minute mark, which is kind of wrap up time. So we will wrap up for this week, and we will be back next week, right? We're both here next week.
Yes, we are.
And so we'll have episode 4 next week. And thank you everyone for joining us and contributing your thoughts and comments and questions. We will look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks. Bye.